All right, shifting gears just a little bit, we're going to move to a different category, content marketing. Would like to invite to the stage Howard Gross from Mindshare to share a little bit of his story with Unilever. Please welcome Howard.
Hello, everyone. I'm Howard from our Mindshare global team, and I'm here representing our India team. And I want to tell you a story about 6 people who made history this year, not only in India, but also globally. So this is the Brooke Bond Red Label Sixpack Band, Happiness That Truly Went Viral, powered by Pivot. So this is the Sixpack Band. It's India's first transgender band. And I want to give you a little bit of a backstory on how this came together and how it was all rooted in data. Before we dive in, you should probably know who Brooke Bond is. So Brooke Bond Red Label Tea's slogan is Swad Apnipan Ka, which means taste of togetherness. And they really try to push the message that if we can put our differences aside, we can come together over a cup of tea and really be together. So some of their recent conversations have been the Hindu-Muslim divide, live-in relationships, or Alzheimer's. And at Mindshare, we have, as part of our planning, a room called Pivot. You might know it as the Loop in other markets, but it's a data room where we have 8 different screens and numerous data partners. And we look at everything from context to culture and what's happening in brands. And what we saw is when we were doing a session for Brooke Bond, there was a lot of social tension around the social space. So everything from dowry, rape, intolerance. And what we saw also is a huge section on gender inequality. And so when we looked into the gender inequality, we saw that most of the conversations were around transgender people. And that's because the Supreme Court in India had just granted legal status to transgender as the 3rd legal gender. So when we looked, 90% of these conversations were hostile, and we thought this would be the perfect opportunity to bring Brooke Bond, who is trying to put differences aside, with what's happening in the social space in India. And so we partnered with a content studio, and the Sixpack Band was formed. It was 6 people and 6 videos over 6 months. And when we brought this idea to our clients, they nearly choked on their tea. They could not believe it, and they thought it would really alienate their main consumer, who's someone more conservative in the village. So after a lot of meetings and a lot of alcohol, we came up with the idea that we would use Pivot to monitor the campaign as we went along on 3 areas. So the first is share rank, how the videos are being shared. The second is the return on content, so what is the engagement? And the third is the voice of the consumer, so what is the sentiment? And if any of these dropped to levels that we didn't really want, we would pull the campaign. So we launched our first video, which was a Pharrell Williams cover of the song Happy, and it launched pretty well. People were surprised and amazed, they felt uplifted, but what we saw was while shareability was really high, the association with our tea was really low. So it was only about 8% of people thought that this video had something to do with Brooke Bond. And so what we did is we went back with the content studio and our clients to make sure that we took these learnings for the second video. So the second video that we launched, we put in the lyrics the phrase, "Come let's have tea." And instantly, just by having that phrase and having Sonu Nigam sing along with the band, the strength of brand association went from 8% to 85%. So this is just one example of the kind of learnings that we did throughout the campaign. This video, the second one, was actually so popular that when we released the third video, we released it as an acoustic version of this video. Throughout the campaign, Pivot acted as a navigation partner to Brooke Bond Red Label, providing a constant stream of insights. I mean, we joke, but Red Label didn't even have a Facebook page when we started this. So this was really where clients and Mindshare came together to really look at all aspects of the campaign. We saw that it was doing really well, and we knew that it was time to move it outside of just YouTube to the broader internet. So it really was a partner. And I've already touched on this a little bit, but the campaign had really, really successful results. We reached over 25 million people with 8 million views. 25% of them were organic, which is double the benchmark. The brand association in average was 68% and went up as high as 85%. And we had an upwards of 10% engagement rate. And one thing that I think is really worth noting is the transgender community in India actually thanked Brooke Bond for their efforts. And it was happiness that truly went viral, so I would love to play for you a clip of the music video so you can get a taste of how the campaign went.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way.
And with that, I'll take any questions.
One here.
Hello, Chris Boggs, Web Traffic Advisors. I'm on the board also. Great presentation. The last part that I caught, I was curious on that 25% double benchmark. Do you think it's because the topic is sort of one of those topics that gets shared more and that community is stronger? And would you say that it's fair to say that for that kind of topic, you're going to get a larger organic impression because of the community?
Yeah, I definitely think that it was a mix of right place, right time, because that was something that was happening in the social ecosystem. It was just a way for us to capitalize on what people were already saying and change it from a negative to a positive.
Hi, great presentation. Was there any impact on share or sales?
Ooh, I'm not quite sure, but I know that the clients were incredibly pleased with the campaign overall, but I can find out if we want to chat after.
All right. One in the front. Other questions?
Can you tell us a little more about that command central thing where you are monitoring a campaign? Is that just a one-off exercise or is that a more continuous exercise?
No, it's actually continuous. So in India we call it pivot, and the rest of the world we call it the loop, and we have it in over 40 of our offices. And we have different structures of campaigns, whether you're trying to do, or sessions, whether you're trying to do more of a campaign upfront planning or more deep dive insights or competitive monitoring. So it really depends on what kind of session you're trying to have, but it's a global Mindshare initiative.
Great. Thank you.
Cool, thanks.